Yo, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy GZTV, and by the way, my Coach's album reaction should be out before like 7 o'clock today, so if you guys want to go check it out by then. But we are here first. Before I get into editing that video, we're going to be talking about Euphoria, the fourth episode of Season 2. You know, I've been reviewing a lot of TV shows recently. We have 4 more episodes left in the season after this. It's coming to an end, but I've enjoyed every second of it. I love the development of the story. I love the relatability of the times. You know, the friend of my friend is my enemy. Eric Dane, or you know, Cal is very poignant, penisy, and in this episode, very interesting stuff happening to Cal. I can't wait to get into this with you guys. This is a pretty crazy episode. A lot of weird shit happens. But yeah, it didn't take long. You know, Euphoria's Jules and Elliot hook up in this episode, and you would have had to have been as strong on as Rue is not to have seen it coming ever since that flirty interrogation scene in episode 3. So I think I knew eventually that Jules was going to break, and she couldn't take the temptation she had to go for. She's a very slutty person. She's not a bad person. She's just got that slutty animalistic nature. But this episode is so intense that Rue's girlfriend and her new friend getting together seems a little tame in comparison to Cassie's binge drinking at Maddie's birthday party, or to the way Cal literally lets it all hang out at the end of the episode. It's very insane. We got to talk about it. I can't wait. About that. Eric Dane's been talking about this in interviews. You know, the blow it all the bits monologue, in which the character bears his soul and his junk to his horrified family. One of the biggest confessional pieces in this entire thing. Cal proudly professes that he likes having sex with men. He calls Nate his biggest regret, and he rips the family portrait off the wall and walks out. Maybe for good. We will have to see in the future episodes if he ever comes back. Yeah. Cal's psyche, you know, it's broad, it's expansive, shown in the episode, kind of getting our insight on it here. Eric Dane actually thought it was fantastic that Cal was doing this. Great. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let's get into the episode. They like review. Yeah. There's a crazy scene that goes on with Cal. I would watch the episode so you can figure out, but they interviewed the guy. Later in the season, he said they're gonna find out where he goes. Uh, there is a third Jacob's child, but who knows what the backstory of that is. But yeah, let's talk about other things. Cassie, Lexi, and their mom throw Maddie a birthday party at the house. So nice of them, very sincere. But Cassie has lost all perspective in the wake of Nate seeming to be inching back into a relationship with his ex. Yeah, it is kind of weird. I don't know, man. So Cass drinks way too much at the bash, especially after Nate shows up and gives Maddie a Tiffany necklace. She's trying to drink to kind of forget everything that's been happening. It's very unfortunate for Cassie. She goes down this downward spiral in the episode. Yeah, when the group is in the hot tub and Maddie is talking about how Nate once told her he wanted her to have his children, Cassie starts vomiting copiously all over her friend. So I'm sure Maddie knows by now that things are going on between the two, and Cassie has feelings. She definitely knows that. But yeah, it was kind of a big scene. This episode made a scene, like literally. Like that's how I would describe the whole episode. It's gross. She sobs to Maddie that she's sorry. She's very apologetic about the whole thing. She's kind of embarrassed, ashamed of her actions of puking. Maddie, thinking that Cassie is only talking about the puke, says it's fine because fine between dry heaves of her own. Maddie's kind of disgusted by this whole scene. She's kind of like this germophobic, hot, bad bitch type thing. Yeah, Rue tells us that she's very much in love with Jules. We know this, whom she envisages as among Other cultural touchstones: Botticelli's Venus, John Lennon, Frida Kahlo, Snow White, Rose from Titanic, and Demi Moore in Ghost. She's seeing Jules in a whole bunch of different lights and definitely romanticizing her perspective on Jules. And yeah. But when Jules assiduously performs oral sex on her, Rue is so high she can't feel anything. I didn't know that was a thing. Wow, I thought that would have made the sex better. Interesting. So she fakes an orgasm and then denies it when Jules calls her out on it. Jules knows she was faking. It was the most awkward shit. It was one of the most awkward scenes in the entire show, and trust me, there are a lot of awkward scenes. The whole thing bothers Jules so much that she mentions it to Elliot, which leads to his giving her a lesson on the finer points of oral sex, but chastely, or as chastely as this type of lesson can get. He demonstrates on her hand, and then that leads to their kissing on his bed. So it gets a little too intimate, it gets a little too physical, romantic, and sexual, and they end up taking it too far. It was very weird. He was telling her to put her hand out like this, and like, picture this as a vagina. It was the weirdest shit ever. But then Rue shows up, and the trio eventually decides to steal some spiked seltzer from a convenience store. You know, obviously Elliot and Jules see Rue pulling up, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta stop this. You know, she's gonna get jealous. There's a lot of envy in this episode. It gets ugly. The proprietor smashes a window in Elliot's car, but the teens get away with it. Crazy enough. I don't know how the police didn't, like, track them down. In real life, I know this is a movie and a show or whatever, but in real life, stuff like this can't really happen. I don't know. On the drive back, though, Rue gets angry at Jules, wondering whether or not she should be drinking, and she demands that Elliot drop her off at home. Now, I thought this is a... Holy shit, I'm starting. Let me take a deep breath. Okay. You know, Rue might have been influenced by drugs. She might have been under the influence, but it was kind of an inappropriate conveyance of emotion, of anger, of resentment towards Jules. I don't know where those emotions came from. It was kind of interesting. So he does. Elliot listens to Rue. He's like, okay, I'll take you home. In Rue's room, she takes 4 pills and has a vision of herself hugging her dad, who holds her as she sobs and tells him she misses him so much. It's like the flip between the pastor and Rue. It's a very cool scene. I think that's what that was. Let's see. Yeah, she takes 4 pills out of the drug supply, by the way, that Lori gave to her. Yeah, Rue's going to get in a lot of trouble. I already know later this season something's going to go down. Meanwhile, Jules takes a shower at Elliot's and climbs into bed with him, but before much can happen, he confesses that Rue hasn't been clean for a while and apologizes for keeping it from her. This is going to be a pretty short recap. All we're going to do is go back and go through Cal Jacobs' interview, kind of read the questions and stuff like that. There's a lot revealed about the Jacobs family, and shout out to TV Line for this article. There's not a whole lot to dig through. We summed it up pretty well, but the big things that happened are very grand, you know. Yeah, so Jules crashes at Elliot's. Maybe they're going to get a relationship in the future. That's kind of developing. Rue's kind of depressed and angry at Jules for, I don't know why. Maybe she saw her get with Elliot. I don't know. But yeah, let's see here. So, I thought episode 3 was when we were going to get our insight into Cal's psyche, but then we get to the end of this one, and good God Almighty. It required 2 episodes. Cal's psyche is broad and expansive. So Cal gets the script, or Eric gets the script, and he reads that final scene in the house. And he thinks it's fantastic. It's great. It was well written. And then he thought, shit, I better start working on this now because this is a mouthful. And then when they shot it, he said it was a lot of fun. Everybody was so engaged, so plugged in, so connected, which really helped him hit all these notes in this really fantastic monologue, which lets Cal liberate himself within the dynamics of his family. This is a man who has gone to extreme measures to keep his secrets hidden. Definitely, that's kind of the type of guy that Cal is. And then all of a sudden, he's the one that blows it up. You know, I don't think you can live that double life very long. Cal existed with that ironclad facade for the better part of his adult life, which is spectacular if you think about it, him keeping that away from his wife, that he carried that burden for so long, with the exception of the tryst he has at the motels with the younger girls and boys. I thought it was just so much fun to watch this episode. I hope that translates in later episodes. Maybe we get more developments on Cal. He was laughing a lot in the scene. In that final scene, it was kind of psychotic. It seemed out of being relieved, being unhinged. He's unhinged. The absurdity of the moment is where he finds the humor and what he's about to do. He's cracked a little bit, Marsha doesn't seem very surprised by a lot of what he says. I feel very bad for Marsha, what she had to go through in that scene. I feel like the kids can handle this. I feel like Marsha really got blindsided and clobbered by this whole thing that happened. I don't think Marsha knew about anything he did. I think Cal had played these cards so perfectly for years, and I think there was probably a little bit of an oblivious sort of lens that Marsha was going through. You never want to believe any of that stuff, so you compartmentalize and put it away, right? Marsha didn't want to believe he was into guys. He's married, for crying out loud. It's being the new Cal or Cal 2.0, which made sense. Cal is going to have the opportunity to be a good parent to Nate, going to be a good father. There's a moment in that monologue where he tells Nate that he's his biggest regret, and I just don't think that Nate's existence is what he regrets. I think how he parented that child is what he's saying. I regret how I fathered you, right? Cal thinks he did a bad job, like... Yeah, I mean, Cal's junk hanging out of the pants definitely changed the tone a little bit. It was very fun to watch. Cal saying all these things with his penis hanging out. It just shows how fucking gone he is, how over it he is. The peeing on the floor, drunk high school boy thing. He intentionally did it at the same time. The high school version. You walk in, you think you're in the bathroom, and you do it, right? Prosthetic. Yeah, his penis was prosthetic, by the way. Just a little hint. He didn't pull his dick out in real life. There are 3 Jacob's children. Yeah. We find out. Okay. That's all I gotta say. Sorry, I had to take a pause, kind of read through that interview, give you guys some bits and pieces, but that's gonna do it. It's kind of a short recap. I apologize for that. Usually you guys are anticipating 15 to 20 minute long ones, but yeah, we're gonna talk about the